started like a month ago at this point, but it didn't really feel like spring. It still felt like winter. We've had snow, a lot of rain, and it just didn't feel like winter. Hi pals! So as you can tell, I had every intention of filming my entire video at that park that I was at, but it became quickly apparent that I was not going to be able to do that because there were people like walking by me. There was no really like secluded area for me to like hide in and like film and record and talk without like bothering other people's park experience. And I didn't want to, ruin anybody else's park experience. Today was a very, very nice day. It's super sunny and like the sun is shining down and making it warm, even though it's kind of chilly. Like as you can tell, there's like wind, and at times I was actually cold, but the sun would like warm me up again after like the gusts of wind would die down. And people were just like enjoying their park experience, and I didn't want to ruin that for them by talking. And also I'm just not very comfortable talking out in public in front of the camera while people are walking by me. So I opted to just enjoy my morning and read my book a little bit and eat my donuts, drink my coffee, and like just have a good sunny morning. Like I took this day off of work as I have other plans today as well, and like I don't know, I wanted to enjoy the first day of spring that I had off that actually felt like spring. So we're back home and I'm just going to do the talking part of this video here, and one day hopefully I will own my own wooded, secluded backyard to do these videos in without needing to find a quiet, solitary public space. So yeah, anyways, let's begin. So I have 11 activities that I would like to get done in the spring, 11 springtime activities to celebrate this season and romanticize it a little bit more, and just to fill this season rounded out. These are some activities that I would just like to get done this season. I would like to go on nature walks or more nature walks. Not even just necessarily hikes, but specifically nature walks to go and appreciate the trees and the leaves and the flowers and the wildlife and the plant life and mushrooms, whatever else I can find in the forest. I want to go and specifically do nature walks where I can appreciate nature specifically and not just the hike or not just the view, but specifically where I'm taking time to slow down and look at the nature and the wildlife around me. The next thing I would like to do is go on cute picnics. Like this morning I went on a breakfast picnic and that was so much fun and I really enjoyed it. And I just want to go on more cute picnics like that, whether they're breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever, as like the sun's staying out longer and it's getting warmer. It'd just be so much fun to enjoy more cute picnics. So that's definitely on the list. Go on a bike ride. I have not ridden a bike in so long. It's been like, I rode a bike after I was a kid, and after I was a teenager, but it's been a long time. I don't actually own a bike, so I'm going to have to like rent one or something, but I would just love to go on a bike ride. It just sounds like a fun spring activity and I'm super excited about it. I've already like started planning that trip, so we'll see that soon, but I'm super excited for it. And then The next activity is to watch the sunrise. If you follow my Instagram, you know that I've already attempted to watch the sunrise. However, it was like the first full week after spring had started, and where we were going was snowy and cloudy, and we did not get to see the sunrise. So that's still on my bucket list. It's still something I want to do this season. Even if I do it more than once, I just think it'd be so much fun. And usually I like romanticize watching the sunset and love to watch the sunset. So I just kind of twisted that and was like, actually I want to go watch like the sunrise this spring. So, but no worries, watching the sunset is on my list as well. I just find that more like easier to do because I'm already awake, and like when the sun is setting and I can just go and watch the sunset, but I have to like force myself to wake up to watch the sunrise. So yes, both watching the sunrise and watching the sunset are on my list. So the next thing on my list is for us to go on our first camping trip. You may or may not know this, but Jonathan and I have never gone camping together, and we have started to plan our first camping trip. And to get all of the supplies for that, we've both gone camping separately, like as children and stuff. I went camping all the time as a child. I was like in Girl Scouts, went camping a lot, and even after that I went camping with like my best friend and her family. So I've gone camping a lot, but I don't have any of the supplies, so we've been getting all of that ready and prepped and stuff. So we would really like to go on our first camping trip this spring and just spend our spring, summer, and hopefully like early fall camping. So we're really excited about that, but that's on our list. The next thing I want to do is go strawberry picking. I've never gone strawberry picking in my whole entire life, but I love strawberries. Strawberries are some of my like favorite fruits, and I just get so excited when strawberry season comes. So it was on my list actually last spring, and I just didn't get to do it, unfortunately. So it's on my list again this spring, and hopefully I enjoy it, and it'll probably be on my list every spring. Here in Massachusetts, the strawberry picking season does kind of start in like mid-June, so I don't know if it'll necessarily be like a spring activity or if it'll be more like early summer or late spring, but it's something I plan on doing regardless of the season. So I have it on this list, but it may be something that needs to be bumped to summer. So the next thing is to go hiking a lot. I want to go hiking so much this spring and just so much this year that like it's on my list. It's going to be on my list every single season, and I'm just super excited. I don't know, I'm making it a goal to hike more. So and if you want to see those hikes, you should like and subscribe and go to my Instagram and follow on my Instagram, and those will be all of the places that I will post about the hikes that I do this season and every season and all of my adventures. So the next one I have is to read outside, which I've already done, but I don't mean just like one time. I mean read outside a lot. I hope to read outside all the time. I don't know why, but reading outside just feels so much better than reading inside, and I just have so much fun like reading outside versus reading inside. Like I love to read, but reading outside is just so much better. I don't remember if this was spring or like early summer, but I had a porch at the place that I was living at the time, and I moved one of these chairs that was like came with our apartment outside onto the porch a couple of times actually, and I would bring a blanket, and this would be after work, so it'd get kind of like chilly as the sun set, and I remember reading on the porch for hours and like going inside when I was so numb and so cold that I literally couldn't read anymore. But I would eat fruit and drink like strawberry lemonade and just curl up with a good book, and I wouldn't even notice when the sun like fully sat and it was dark. I had like string lights lighting it. I'll like add some pictures in, but yeah, I don't know, it's just so much fun. So I'm hoping to like do that again in a different form. I don't live in that apartment anymore, but and like other ways, like this morning how I read outside, that was so much fun and I really enjoyed it, even if I didn't get to like film this part of it outside. I did enjoy myself reading my book outside. So the next activity on my list is to make a leaf bandana. I'll add some pictures up here, but pretty much it's just a bandana that looks like a leaf. I do have a sewing machine, and so I'm hoping to use that to make my leaf bandana, and I'm so excited. I've been seeing them like around and they're just super cute, and I want one, and I think I can make it myself, so I'm going to try. So I want to make a leaf bandana. And then the next thing on my list is crochet a steering wheel cover. I do have some experience crocheting. I've never once made an actual thing with it. I have a whole bunch of squares that I crocheted about 2 years ago that I planned on turning into a backpack and never finished. So I do have experience crocheting, and I'm hoping to crochet a steering wheel cover for my car this spring, so that way the leather steering wheel cover in my car does not melt my hands off every single time I get into it. You can buy these, but I don't know, I just felt like it'd be fun to make it. So I'm going to attempt to make it, and worst case scenario, I end up buying one from someone. But the last activity on my spring activity list is to go to a tulip field and pick tulips. This is also something I've never done, and that basket that you saw in like the park scenes, that's actually now broken. We bought it last summer to use to go tulip picking, and then we did not get to, or last spring to go tulip picking, and we did not get to go tulip picking. Something happened, or the weather, or I don't really remember what, but we didn't get to go. So it's on my list this year again, and hopefully we get to go, and that should be like mid-April. So I'm super excited for it. So hopefully we get to go. And that's all of the activities on my spring activity list for this year. So we're gonna transition and talk about the books on my spring book list. These are in no particular order, just whatever order I thought of when I was writing this list. First up, the first book we're going to talk about is a classic. It is Emma by Jane Austen. I've heard that Emma is a very good Jane Austen book to read in the spring, so that's what I'm going to do, is read Emma this spring. If you don't know, Emma by Jane Austen follows the lead protagonist, Emma, who is a precocious young woman who is confident in her ability to make matches, to make suitable matches, and she schemes to find her own husband, and you follow all of her misadventures in her romantic life. It just sounds very fun. The clips I've seen of the latest Emma movie look very fun. I don't know, everybody recommends it for the spring, and that's honestly why it's on my list. My list is also a classic. It is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I have always wanted to read Pride and Prejudice, but I never have, and spring just feels like the right time to. I have seen Pride and Prejudice, the mini-series, and I'm obsessed. It's one of my favorite things. I rewatch it often, so I'm just super excited to actually read Pride and Prejudice this spring. If you don't know, Pride and Prejudice follows the Bennet family as the sisters try to land suitable matches for their family and for themselves, and it follows specifically Elizabeth Bennet and the male protagonist named Mr. Darcy, and they do not get along at first, and one day something changes and they do, and it's a commentary on what happens when pride encounters prejudice and the distaste of upward social mobility versus the social disdain of that, and how misconceptions can alter your perceptions of people and alter the way that you view the world, and also how those misconceptions can change. So I don't know, it's just really fun. Pride and Prejudice. The next book on my list is a children's classic, actually, and it's The Wind in the Willows. Everybody recommends reading The Wind in the Willows in springtime. I've even heard people suggest that you take it outside and you read it outside. And so I plan on reading The Wind in the Willows outside, maybe not all in one go. Possibly it is a shorter book. I'm actually going to read the back of this copy for you. It's an old copy from 1969, and it says that the reading level is 9.6 and it's for all ages. So, the back of the book says, finding the secret of the wind is hard enough without Mole wandering off into the wild wood and getting caught in a snowstorm, or Toad stealing motor cars and landing in jail. Between Practical Water Rat and Wise Old Badger, the four of them manage, after many great adventures and much laughter, to settle down to a quiet roar with an understanding of the wind song and the wild wood. So just a cute, cozy, cottagecore adventure book that's written for children but is for all ages and just sounds super cozy and quite the adventure. The next book on my list is Wildwood. I actually don't own a copy of Wildwood. Most of the books that are on my list this season I do own because I'm trying to read some of the books I own. Some of them I bought last spring to read last spring and I never got around to them, and some of them I've bought since last spring and want to read in the spring. And yeah, I don't know, so I'm just trying to read the books that I already own for the most part, so most of them I already do own. I really want to read Wayward by Amelia Hart. Wayward is a historical fiction fantasy novel that includes witches. The cover is just super freaking cute, but it does weave different time periods into one storyline. You go from like 2019, 1619, and 1942. In 2019, you're following the main character in 2019 named Kate as she goes to Wayward Cottage, which she inherited, and kind of like discovers the secrets hidden within the cottage and within her own family line. And then you jump to 1619, where the main character Altha is awaiting trial for the murder of a local farmer. Altha was taught magic and trying to like use all her powers that aren't rooted in spellcasting to maintain her freedom. And then in 1942, as World War II rages, the main character Violet is trapped in her family's grand crumbling estate, and she longs for the education her brother receives, and just doesn't really like the societal conventions that she's trapped by. And she also is grieving her mother and missing her mother. The only traces she has of her mother is a locket that bears the initial W and the word Wayward scratched into the baseboard of her bedroom. So it's going to be really interesting to read how these stories intertwine to create one overarching narrative of Wayward, of like Wayward Cottage and Wayward the book. So the next book on my list is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. She now has her second book out as well, and I'm hoping if I enjoy that book, then I'll read that book as well this season. I am actually currently reading this one. This is the one you saw me reading in like the beginning of this video. And geez, the wind, man. Anyways, it follows Emily Wilde as she goes to a remote village in Scandinavia to study the Fae there in their remote town, as she is trying to study all of the Fae known to mankind in order to create this encyclopedia of all Fae. And it's written in like a diary log type format with like lots of, so far at least, I'm not very far into it, I'm only like 20 pages into it, but it has like a lot of educationally sounding, like scholarly sounding like entries in this log of hers that she's writing to document her travel and her journey and her discoveries. And there's like footnotes, and it's just really fun so far. Yeah, I don't know what the rest of the book holds, and I don't really want to spoil much for myself. Yep. The next book on my list is The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels. This book follows the main character named Cecilia Bassingthwaite. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but that's the main character, Cecilia. She's part of the Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels, and like the other members of the Wisteria Society crime sorority, she flies around England drinking tea, blackmailing friends, and acquiring treasure by interesting means. Then the male protagonist is named Ned Lightbourne, and he's an assassin who becomes smitten with Cecilia upon seeing her. However, he has been assigned to assassinate her. That follows you know, Cecilia's life and Ned's attempts to assassinate her, and you know, what happens when men underestimate a woman. The next book on my list is The Cottingley Secret, which it follows the non-fictional tale, the true account of the sisters who pretty much faked fairy photos back in like the early 1900s. This is like all a true story. I'll see if I can like link some like actual information down below. But I like found this story for the first time last spring, and I bought this book last spring, but I just couldn't really get into it. Not because it was bad, but I just like am such a mood reader. I just couldn't get into it. And so it's on my list this spring, and it follows Frances. Oh, sorry, they're not sisters, they're cousins. It follows Frances Griffiths and Elsie Wright, who are cousins, and they are spending like the summer together, I think, something like that. Anyways, they're spending some time together because of the war. Like they claim during their playtime together, they claim to have taken pictures of real fairies, and their like parents and the adults in their lives are like kind of skeptical, but it catches the attention of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who declares that this is actually authentic and true, and they really did capture pictures of fairies, and that fairies are like real. And so like after that, the girls become like a national like sensation, and they're afraid to actually like tell the truth. And so in the present day, the main character in the present day, Olivia Cavana, inherits her grandfather's bookshop and discovers the manuscript of like this story about these cousins who captured these pictures of these fairies, and like the true story, a nation gripped by like fairy fever. So like their stories kind of end up intertwining, Olivia and like Frances's. So it's just really interesting to see like the fictionalized account of this true story that happened back in the early 1900s regarding these photographs of fairies that were believed to be true. But there was also a lot of skepticism around whether or not these pictures were true at the time, until they were later debunked and, you know, are actually false. So, or are they? Who really knows? The last book on my list is Goblin Market by Diane Zoller. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Sorry, that was my cat. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing her name correctly, and this is based off of Goblin Market, the poem by Christina Rossetti, and it's like a fictionalized account of like the Goblin Market. If you don't know what the Goblin Market is, it, like I said, is a poem by Christina Rossetti that is kind of a cautionary tale about what happens if you accept fruit from goblins, and also there's a lot more to it than that. That's just like what the cautionary tale is hiding, is covering, undercover, yeah. Anyways, so it follows sisters Lizzie and Minka, and like what happens when Minka meets a boy who gives her a plum to eat and like makes her feel all special and wants her to run away with him. And it turns out that Minka's been bewitched and ensnared by a goblin, and his plum was poison, his words were poison, and strange things begin to happen as Lizzie tries to save her sister, and she will have to confront just a lot of, you know, dark things and trying to save her sister, and it's just like really fun. This says that Diane Zoller was inspired by both Polish folklore and the poetry of Christina Rossetti. So yeah, if you don't, I recommend reading Christina Rossetti's poem. It's like one of my favorites, and it's actually often read to kids despite the dark like overtones in it to add the dark material. And yeah, so thanks for watching, pals. Sorry I couldn't record all of this at the park, there were just too many people. I hope that you have a wonderful spring, and I'll see you next time.